Who doesn't love a great book haul? My bank account. Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. I'm finally here to talk about books. I know my past couple videos have been bookish but not fully, so I figured what better way to start the full-on bookish content. Not that you're only gonna get that, but you know, we need to spice things up on this channel sometimes. Now, I have been trying to not buy too many books. The problem with that is that I am an avid reader. I'm also an avid book hoarder and a book addict in itself. I'm gonna call this a summer book haul because it's mostly romance books, which I have been reading a lot of recently. I would say my favorite genre is normally fantasy with some spice of romance in it, but I do tend to be more drawn towards the romance genre over the summer periods, but also just when I'm not feeling like jumping into fantasy book where my mind actually needs to be like at full attention to understand how a world works. Do you get what I mean? I'm done with all of the let's just jump straight into the book. So if any of you have watched my reading vlog a couple weeks back, you saw that I was listening to the audiobook of The Summer I Turned Pretty after watching and loving the TV show that Amazon Prime made. I hadn't ever read The Summer I Turned Pretty. Also, I still hadn't finished the audiobook because I fell asleep and I don't know whereabouts I am in the whole book. But I did want to read the books this summer, so I got the whole trilogy. Also, it was a struggle to get them, like these editions, because I specifically wanted these covers because I don't like the old versions. I don't like the UK versions. And then I did like the first cover that they came out with like the TV series tie-in cover, but it's got an unremovable sticker on it which says like Prime Video new TV show, which is great. We do love some PR for the show, but just not on top of my book. And if it's needed, then put it as a sticker so that I can remove it, please. I'd be so grateful for that. But alas, that did not happen. And so I had to resort to getting these versions instead. So we've got The Summer I Turned Pretty. I will eventually get to this. And then we've got We'll Always Have Summer, which is a sequel. And then the final third book is called It's Not Summer Without You. I honestly really like these covers. They're very summery to me. But yeah, I do really like the vibe of these. If you have been living under a rock, or if you've just not been about on any book social media or on Prime, and you haven't seen the Summer I Turned Pretty show, or if you've never seen the books, basically we meet Belly, and every summer she spends at Cousin Beach with her brother and her mother as they visit Belly's mom's best friend and her two sons. This summer, which is like the summer she turned pretty, things finally change, and she might have some deeper feelings for one or two of the brothers that she's visiting, and then things start to happen, and yeah, I'm very excited. I know they just started filming season 2 as well, which hopefully will come out next summer, and then we can see the difference between the second book and the second season. Then the next book I got, which is actually in my current read, is called The Roughest Draft by Emily Wibberley and Austin Sigmund Broca. So this book is essentially, I want to say it's enemies to lovers, kind of, but like I haven't gone to the lovers part yet, so who knows. Basically, this book is about Katrina and Nathan, two authors who 4 years ago published their second book together called Only Once, and they haven't spoken since. But they have a book deal with a publisher, and in their contract they have one final book to write together. So after 4 years they finally get together to write this next book, and we kind of follow them along as they're writing this next book parallel with their past tense 4 years ago when they were writing the previous book, so that we finally get to know what actually happened 4 years ago and the reason why they haven't spoken in 4 years and why they seem to resent each other. Also, I love the idea that the author couple of this book are actually married in real life. So there's literally two authors writing a book together about two authors writing a book together. Kind of feels like Inception or something like that. But I'm only 100 pages in. Well, the book's only 300 so pages, so I'm a third into the book, and so far I'm enjoying it. I'm sure I will update you guys on how I'm finding the book in a reading log or something like that very soon. Then the next book that I actually got not too long ago, and it's One Day by David Nichols. Now this book has been out for a while. So this book came out in 2009. And I'm only getting to it now, which I think is fair anyway. I do know there has been a movie, or was it a TV show, with Anne Hathaway, I think, with this book. Now, the past couple of months, they have been filming either a new movie or a new TV show in Edinburgh, because this book is placed in Edinburgh. And essentially, it's about these two people called Emma and Dexter, who on the 15th of July in 1988 meet on the night of their graduation. And then from then on they meet on the same date every single year following. Honestly, I had heard about this book before, like I'd seen it on Instagram and like in the bookshop multiple times. And I was like, I will get to this book eventually. And then I saw it in the bookshop again the other day. And I was like, you know what, maybe I should give it a try. Looked on the back and like actually read what it was about and stuff. My graduation was on the 15th of July, and I figured post-graduation mood, this might be the perfect read. Not saying that I met someone on the night of my graduation, but this is maybe what it could have been, you know? But yeah, we shall see. I'm quite excited to read this because I have heard great things about it. Now the next book is one that I first saw on TikTok, I want to say. BookTok is taking over the whole book industry, it seems like. Other than what people are enjoying on TikTok, there obviously is a lot more fiction and other books in general out there that is great. It doesn't get the recognition they deserve on TikTok, but here we are. I'm sure a lot of other people have fallen into that hole of reading TikTok books. Anyway, the next book that I picked up is Every Summer After by Carly Fortune. I saw this everywhere and I was like, I guess I need to get it to see for myself if it's as good as everyone says. I will say in recent weeks I have seen a lot of people compare this book to Love and Other Words by Christina Lauren, which I did get earlier this year. So I think I might do a comparison on Love and Other Words and this one. Obviously I don't want to compare authors' works, but at the same time, if they are quite similar, I kind of want to see the difference and like if they actually are quite similar or if it's just the vibe that's similar, you know? I'm gonna just assume that my August TBR is gonna be massive with just romance books. Then another book that I've been wanting to read for such a long time. I really wanted to read it in June. I was not able to because I had too much to do. And that book is 7 Days in June by Tia Williams. Heaven from Heavenly Bibliophile on YouTube and Instagram has spoken so much about this book. I've seen this book everywhere, but I take recommendations from Heaven very serious. And so if she says that she loves the book, I'm like, I'm putting that on my TBR ASAP. And so I was just roaming around in Blackwell's and saw this and I was like, you know what, it's time to buy it. Another great summer book that I will hopefully get to before September. I will read it back to you because I don't know that much about it, but I know enough that I want to read it. 7 days to fall in love, 15 years to forget, and 7 days to get it all back again. When Ava Mercy, a single mother and best-selling erotica writer, and the enigmatic award-winning novelist Shane Hall meet at a literary event in New York, sparks fly. What no one knows is that 15 years earlier, teenage Ava and Shane spent 1 week together, madly in love. While they may pretend to be strangers, they can't deny their chemistry. Over the next 7 days, amidst a steamy Brooklyn summer, Ava and Shane reconnect, But Ava is wary of the man who broke her heart and wants Shane out of the city so her life can return to normal. Before he disappears, though, she needs a few questions answered. ... I'm really excited about this one. Then the next book, which is actually a sequel and a book that has been out for a while, but it only just was released in paperback in June. I did read the first book in this duology in February, I want to say. I've been meaning to read the book for ages. And then once I finished the first book, which ended on a cliffhanger, I was like, I need the second book ASAP. Went on to buy it online, and only the hardback was available, but I had the first book in paperback. And so, as every other reader struggles with, I had to wait. I patiently waited for the paperback to come out, and now I finally have it, and that book is Vow of Thieves by Mary E. Pearson. The first book in this duology is called Dance of Thieves. If you might have seen it. It's enemies to lovers, to enemies, to lovers, spiel. I love the first book, and it was like one of the first fantasy books that I got into again this year. I honestly haven't been reading that many fantasy books for whatever reason. Don't know if I'm just in a really weird reading mood or not, but yeah, I'm really excited for the sequel. I'm hoping the sequel is as good as the first book. I don't want to say too much about what it's about, but I would definitely recommend reading the first book and then see if you enjoy it, and then you can pick up the sequel. Right, so the next book I honestly struggled to find and get a hand of. Then I finally did, and I will be honest, the other day I wanted to start reading this book. I looked for it in my book cart and I couldn't find it. Turns out I never received the book, and then it arrived like the day after. But I had a moment there where I was so sure that I had the book and thought I'd somehow misplaced it, but I don't live in a large flat and there was nowhere else it could have been. Really weird. But that book is Funny You Should Ask by Alyssa Sussman. I honestly really like the cover of this. It's really aesthetic to me. I used to not be a fan of like red and pink together. This cover is quite appealing to me. I'm quite excited for this. It seems to be like second chance romance book, which I'm all about right now. I will read you the back. Then 20-something writer Chani Horowitz is stuck while her former MFA classmates are nabbing high-profile book deals. All she does is churn out puff pieces. Then she's hired to write a profile of movie star Gabe Parker, her #1 celebrity crush and the latest James Bond. All Chani wants to do is keep her cool and nail the piece, but what comes next proves to be life-changing in ways she never saw coming. As the interview turns into a whirlwind weekend that has the tabloids buzzing and Chani getting closer to Gabe than she had planned. Now, 10 years later, after a brutal divorce and a healthy dose of therapy, Chani is back in Los Angeles with a career of her dreams as a successful writer. Except that no matter what new essay collection or online editorial she's promoting, someone always asks about the profile. It always comes back to Gabe. So when his PR team requests that they reunite for a second interview, she wants to say no. She wants to pretend that she's forgotten about the time they spent together. But the truth is that Chani wants to know if those 72 hours were as memorable to Gabe as they were to her. And so she says yes. Alternating between Chani and Gabe's first meeting and the reunion a decade later, this deliciously irresistible novel will have you hanging on until the last word. I find it quite fascinating that a lot of novels nowadays do this like dual perspective, also dual perspective, but where they like have two parallel timelines where they switch between. I'm finding it more frequently in books that I'm reading now, or maybe it's just because I'm reading more romance books with second chance romance and they do tend to swap between different timelines. It's the same in The Roughest Draft, which I'm currently reading. I know it's the same in People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry as well, and other books. Not sure if that's just something I've noticed recently or if it's just a coincidence that the books I've been picking up have this swap between the two timelines. Or maybe that's just what I'm drawn to. Now, the next two books I actually got whilst my parents were here when I was in Waterstones, as you might have seen in my graduation vlog. I picked up two books, and the first one, which was recommended to me by my friend Hannah, she actually told me this like ages ago that I should read it. I've also seen it everywhere. I've been meaning to buy it for such a long time, but only got around to it right now. And yes, I do still have the sticker on from Waterstones. This is Crying in H Mart by Michelle Sauner. I hope I say her name right. There's no like thing on the back that I can tell you what it's about, but it is a memoir. I struggle to say that word. It's a memoir. Is that how you say it? And I'm quite excited. Although I know I'm gonna cry, so, and that's not fun. And then at the same time as I got that one, because it was buy one get one half price, I also got The Lost Story of Mina Lee. This says on the back, in 1987, Mina Lee flies from Seoul to Los Angeles to start a new life. 30 years later, Margot Lee speaks to her mother for the first time. Between these two moments extends a lifetime of secrets. These are stories of unexpected loves and devastating losses, of choice made and those left behind, of a mother and daughter who have always struggled to understand each other. These are stories waiting to be told before it's too late. I'm quite excited about this. I'm trying to also not just read like romance but also contemporary fiction, so I'm quite excited to read this one as well. It seems to be like, I'm assuming, time swap as well. What's it called? Like different timelines. And now the final two books I actually got the other day, one that I'm sure so many people have seen already. It's Everything I Know About Love by Dolly Alderton. My flatmate last year read this and loved it, and I knew that I had to pick it up at one point. I've just never gotten to it. I've seen so many people read it and love it on Instagram, and so I was like, you know what, it's time. I say that I'm not gonna end up reading this book in like until like September. I will say though, it's been sold out a lot of places, so it's not just on me that I haven't been able to get hold of it, you know? I blame other people. It's an autobiography, if you didn't know, and it's just Dolly, this lovely gal, writing about everything she knows about love. And then the final book is None of This Is Series by Catherine Persico. I also love this cover, it's stunning. I actually saw this book for the first time in the bookstore in, I want to say like May sometime, and then I was like, no, I'm not gonna buy myself any more books. I already have so many. And then I had a gift card at Waterstones actually, and that I wanted to use, so I went looking for it when my parents were here and I couldn't find it. It was sold out in Waterstones. I was like, okay, cool. There's so many other bookstores in Edinburgh, I'll find it somewhere. Went to Toppings. They only had a hardcover edition of it, and I didn't want it in hardcover, I wanted the paperback version. So I couldn't buy it there. Went to Blackwell's. They didn't have it. And so I went online to see which bookstore actually had it. Found Waterstones in Fort Kinnaird, which is like not centre of Edinburgh, but a bit further out. So I got the bus there to buy this book. The lengths I go to get my books, I'm just saying, this book gives me Sally Rooney vibes. I don't know if this is Catherine's first novel or not, and I obviously like I haven't read it yet, so I don't know if it's giving the same Sally Rooney writing style vibes, but like just from the topics that it includes, like it's kind of the same topics. I'll read you the description. Dublin student life is ending for Sophie and her friends. They've got everything figured out, and Sophie feels left behind as they all start to go their separate ways. She's overshadowed by her best friend Grace. She's been in love with Finn for as long as she's known him, and she's about to meet Rory, who's suddenly available to her online. At a party, what was already unstable completely falls apart, and Sophie finds herself obsessively scrolling social media, waiting for something, anything, to happen. None of this series is about the uncertainty and absurdity of being alive today. It's about balancing the real world with the online and the vulnerabilities in yourself, your relationships, your body. At its heart, this is a novel about friendships strong enough to withstand anything. I also think, for me especially, being post-uni life, at least post-undergrad uni life, this book will probably be quite relatable, I feel like. I will obviously update you guys on all of the books that I will read eventually out of this lovely stack of books. I hope you guys enjoyed the book haul. Let me know what else you want to see. Also, please do let me know if you've actually read any of these books and if you think I should prioritize any of them. I will see you guys soon in the next video. Thank you for watching and happy reading!